You have an idea you want to get started on, which you want to see live. Then hello and welcome to Rhodes. Rhodes delivers a pre-configured environment running on your own cloud, compatible with major cloud platforms and all major technology stacks. Let's now take a quick 4-minute tour to see how we went from pushing to our private repository to seeing it live on the web on our own domain. Let's step through having Rhodes provision our environment. At the end, we will have a bare bones Python 3 repository we can just start working on. Let's get started by choosing a cloud platform. We're going to deploy to DigitalOcean, and like we said, we're going to choose Python 3. This will give us a Django project, which we will be able to easily modify to give us a head start. Here we are going to select self-contained for our scale, which means everything will be deployed to one machine. We'll have a chance to explore what that means in just a little bit. Now, let's add some items to our environment. All these items will come pre-configured, secure, and more importantly, integrated. We'll choose Postgres for our database, which will be configured to have its own dedicated login, and our website will be configured to work with it. We'll choose GOGS, and our Django project will be available on it, as well as giving us the ability to make it private for any number of users. We'll also choose Jenkins, which will give us automatic deployment with any changes we make to the repository. This is how what we pushed in the beginning of this video made it to the website. And lastly, let's choose HTTPS, which will give us a professional website available over HTTPS. We now have to choose our site. Of course, the more we scale vertically, the more power we have. But actually, all of the options will work just fine with the microsite. So let's see that in action. That's it, we finished building our environment. Now, in order to actually kick off deployment, we need to provide a few pieces of information to allow Rhodes to deploy to our own environment. For New York, so we're going to choose NYC1. Next, we need to give it an email so Rhodes can notify us about the environment creation steps. We have to provide an SSH key to allow secure logon. Password logon will be turned off on Rhodes deployed servers. We'll provide a token to give Rhodes access to our cloud. This is how the machine ends up in our cloud and how we can avoid lock-in. We will delete this token right afterwards. Please see our access credentials videos on info of how to do that linked below. Lastly, we need to choose a domain for our new environment. We're going to choose cloudsetup.net. It's important to note that Rhodes isn't going to manage this for you. You can even choose a domain which you don't even own yet. Here, the job is deploying, and we're going to fast forward through this part since it takes about 10 minutes for the Rhodes environment to set up. Let's see what our quick setup has achieved. Here it is, a fully configured bare-bones Python 3 Django website deployed onto our own cloud where we're ready to begin development. Before we go on, let's point DNS to it. For this video, we're using our own registrar, so this step may well be very different for you, but the basic steps and end result will be the same. We will set this up, wait for it to kick in, and then reboot the server. The server will detect that the DNS changed and reconfigure itself to take advantage of it. So, while we wait, we can start the DHE-param process, which we'll need in order to host cloudsetup.net over HTTPS. This has to be done now and couldn't have been done by Rhodes since it would be a security risk to give a third party the potential to see your private key. Doing it while waiting for DNS is also a good time to do it, since it can take quite a while to finish. An easy way to check if we're ready for the next step is browsing to cloudsetup.net using HTTP. We're going to use Browserling to do it, but you can also use curl. This is done because there's a catch. HTTP is insecure, so you need to use a tool for that purpose. The expected result is to see a disallowed host error. And here it is. We made it to the website using DNS, but were rightly rejected. Great. On to the next step. We just need to reboot the machine. When we get back in, we see the website is hosted over HTTPS and reaching it via IP is now disallowed. Let's explore some of the other items picked in the beginning of this video when we chose our environment. We can click over to GOGS and we can see that it is indeed hosted on cloudsetup.net, and we're able to log in and see the actual code for cloudsetup.net. So the next step is easy. We clone the repo locally, and here we find ourselves at the very beginning of the video. It's now only a matter of editing the code locally and pushing it up to cloudsetup.net. Our Jenkins install will take care of actual deployment. We are ready to build.